I think that dressing for business is dressing for business. I think that people are more likely to take you seriously when you look responsible, clean cut, like you took effort to present yourself in a professional manner.
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think it is. I mean, because if you cannot display the appropriate professionalism or respect for the interview, then how are you going to fulfill that kind of role once you actually get into the position?
We get people who call us up and say, "Tell me about the job," and it's like goodbye.
I guess it's more like I put myself out there. I am who I am, and this is what I do. And if you like that, hire me. If you don't, don't. But I'm not going to change to get the job there, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's always to your advantage to be the norm in a society. I mean, if you're stepping out of the norm is scary, and it frightens other people. So if you're falling into a norm, it's probably going to be easier for you to access the things that you want out of your life. But in my opinion, stepping out of those norms and still getting those things that I want out of life is more challenging and feels better. In a capitalist economy,
Deep gender roles.
Like, it shouldn't be as important as it is, but it's really important.
consumer economy,
has some kind of impact on the world around you.
like the number of people under 18 getting like surgery to modify their bodies is going up. That is something to question.
Like personally, like fake breasts on women just really are I think it looks good with clothing on, but you know, it's just a curvy thing. But I think the natural beauty, man or woman, is more, you know, work with what you got.
Me personally, I mean, I'm 23, turning 24 this year. I've already got a relative amount of gray hair on the sides of my head. and so I've considered maybe coloring my hair, but at the same time, I'm just like, is that really that important to me?
I might consider if I had if I was balding, but if I was, since I'm not. No, just joking.
And then my answer is always like, I really don't even want them. They're just something that I've had for too long and I can't take them out, otherwise it'll look weird. You can get they cut them and they sew them back together. But I'm not into that. I have a friend who got his ears sewn together, and I just kind of thought, like, why would you do that? You know, like, it really doesn't matter, in my opinion. Like,
So why did he do it? What was his reason?
because he cares too much about the way he looks.
Okay.
Surgery just seems so, I don't know, it seems like a waste of money to me. It seems too vain. Not that it's the physical pain or whatever like that doesn't scare me. It's just inside, like my personality wise, I would feel like this is extraordinarily vain. I'm spending this money when there's people out other parts of the world that can't even afford, you know, they're living in boxes.
Other people that do that, that's their business. I think sometimes it's okay, but I don't know. Represent people that have obviously done plastic surgery and gone too far and just keep going. It's telling that there's something, you know, in my opinion, something inaccurate about that approach.
You know, why do people go to extremes to, you know, shape their bodies into what they consider the ideal form? Because like, it feels like they give some self-worth. You know, I mean, to a degree, the reason I'm in graduate school is because I feel like it will give me a measure of self-worth. So I don't think, you know, trying to improve yourself is always a bad thing. But I think some people might take it to extremes.
Looking good and dressing up ultimately is a self-esteem thing. I mean, you value yourself and you want to look good because you know you can look good, and you want to portray that, and it's really a portrayal of feeling good, and that feeling is going to rub off on people that you're surrounded by. So
It's something to question when you're living in a world where people feel so insecure about themselves that they're changing the shapes of their skin. That seems very odd. That seems like a big problem to me.
Is this, would you say, an objective film?
Absolutely not. We were making a film, as all films are subjective. Our bias was involved, and tried to make that clear and obvious to the viewer and to ourselves in the filmmaking process. But no, it's not an objective film. It's very subjective. What exactly is the value in making a subjective film?
I think this is a big question in anthropology right now. How much subjectivity should go into anthropological research? And I think that the importance of recognizing the bias of the researcher is going to enrich any anthropological study. I mean, we're in postmodern times right now, and where everybody's background and everybody's ways of visualizing the world or conceptualizing the world play into our research. And I think researchers are starting to ask questions of, well, where does that researcher's bias come into it? So in this, I mean, this is a subjective film. It's meant to include the biases of the researchers, or at least to point those out. So I think that provides strength for the message of the film, to know where the researchers come from, and and what can be used out of this to apply to the whole film as a whole. Did you learn anything about yourself while you were producing this film?
I would have to say, yes, I did. In the process of trying to make a reflexive film, I definitely was forced to confront my own biases and subjectivity and pinpoint them and really analyze and say, in the process of trying to make a documentary and to get valuable footage or something that's worthwhile, to really go through and focus on where my own biases and things would play into that and come into that and filter what gets seen by the viewer. Would you say that the concepts in your new film would apply to everyone?
I would say no. I mean, it's hard to say whether or not they're going to apply to people that are not in between the ages of 20 and 30, that are not transitioning into a time when they're developing their own agency and trying to draw appearance into that. I mean, I think all of us have gone through that, but and so, you know, it's possible that older generations could look back and put themselves in our time and see that in a new light because it's a different time. I don't know. And, you know, maybe it's possible to use this to compare with other ethnographies that were done in the past on appearance and beauty in the past. But I would say, for the most part, this film was made by people that were between the ages of 20 and 30, about people who are between the ages of 20 and 30, and those people all came together to sort of come to the answers and the conclusions of this film. So whether or not anybody else will be able to draw from this, I think it's up in the air, but I do know that the reflexivity in this film is meant to apply directly to this age group.